In this video, we will have a look at Crestron NAX and how we can send any audio source to any receiving Dante or AES67 device. For this, I have set up a couple of Crestron devices as audio sources and two Fohhn Dante speakers. To demonstrate, I will be using Dante Controller, a program that can see and handle both Dante and AES67 audio. The first thing we need to do to have Dante receivers receive AES67 audio streams is to enable AES67 in the menu. Of course, if this had been an AES67 device, we would just enter the multicast IP address of the transmitting device in the receiver. However, since these devices are Dante, we will need to enable this feature. So what we will do is go into the Dante device that will receive the audio and go to AES67 config. If you don't have this menu, then this Dante device does not support AES67. And I'll enable and answer yes. And then I'll choose the next speaker here and I'll enable and answer yes. And now these devices can receive AES67 sources. We don't have any sources yet. The black ones here are always Dante native sources, and sources that are in blue will be either AES67 or SMPTE 2110 sources. So what we'll do now is to enable a couple of sources. So I will start with a DM NVX. An NVX device is not an audio source, it's a video source or either sender or receiver. But the audio can also be handled as AES67. So I will go into the settings menu here and go down to AES67. And here I can see a session name and a multicast address. And what I'll do is I'll enter a multicast address for this AES67 stream. So 239.10.10.10 for example. And if we have a look in Dante Controller, it immediately shows up and the text is blue, showing this is AES67 or SMPTE 2110. We will not be working with SMPTE 2110, so all blue ones will be AES67 here. So the standard name here in the NVX unit is stream 01 and then the MAC address, which is not very easily read in Dante Controller, so let's change the name to NVX 01 for example, and if I tab out of this box I will see that the name will immediately be changed to NVX 01 here. If I want, I can also either set 0.000 here, or I can stop the AES67 here and it will also disappear from the Dante controller and it will not exist in the network. So this can be done either on a sender or a receiver NVX unit. So this particular one is a DM NVX 363. That's the only NVX that has both Dante and AES67 capabilities. All other NVXs are AES67 only. The current ones. There used to be one called 352 also that had Dante, but that's end of life. So that's showing that the NVX units since firmware 3 can handle AES67 as a secondary stereo audio stream. So the next device we will have a look at is the NAX device. DM, digital media, NAX, network audio, matrix, amp and amplifier with 300 watts on it. So let's just have a quick look at the device itself, see how it looks. I'll just look it up here at Crestron and have a look at the inputs and outputs. So here are where we connect the speakers, and then we have inputs and outputs. And of course we receive the audio from the network too, that can be sent out on the amplified outputs. So let's go to X300 again here, and I'll go to settings, and let's go down to NAX streams, and we can see that we have stream out 1 and stream out 2. And if I set a multicast address, I see in Dante Controller that it shows up. And again, let's name it something so we can read what it actually is. And there we go. The AMP X300 is also the only current NAX device that has native Dante support. And if we want to use that, we go to System Setup, and down here is a device mode. Audio over IP mode. It's currently set to NAX, and NAX is Crestron's name for AES67. So if I want, I can switch mode to Dante native mode instead. If I do that, it wants to reboot. Let's do that, and while it reboots, we'll have a look at the next device. The next device is a DM NVX 4ZSA50. So a 4-zone streaming amplifier with 50 watts per channel. Let's have a look at that one. And there we have it, and let's click on that one and have a look at the larger image of it. So this is the front, this is the back. So we have 4 amplified outputs, each with 50 watts, and a 5th one RCA out. However, the interesting thing is we have some inputs too. 2 RCAs, for example, and we have a digital input. Anything that inserts audio into these devices can have a multicast address set for that source, and that source will instantly be available all over the network. And it can at the same time receive any source and output it on the outputs here. So let's go back to the device and have a look at it. We go to settings, and we go to NAX streams, and here we see now that we have quite a lot more transmitting sources. So RCA2, for example, RCA1 and RCA2, for example, here. So let's put a multicast address here, and we see it appeared immediately here. Let's give it a more intelligent name. And I'll do the same with next device or next input. And we see them appear here. So all these can at the same time output audio onto the network. So we also have these 5 media streams. These correspond to profiles in the device. where we can, for example, receive an internet radio or connect to a Tidal account or some other supported service. And those profiles can then be output on the network just like anything else. And we can pick them up on either a Crestron receiver unit or, for example, in this case, the PoE speakers. So here we see we have all the devices we just added in the AES67, and if we want, we can now route any of these to the speaker. So that's the DM NAX 4CSA50. So the next device is an endpoint. So that's a DM NAX AUD-USB-C here. So that's a USB-C interface with analog input and output. So let's have a look at that one in the on the Crestron web. And here it is, as we can see. USB-C input output and analog input output 3.5 millimeter. Same thing here. We can go to settings, NAX streams. We'll set a multicast address. Give it a name. Let's do the same for the other here. And we can see them in Dante Controller. So these are stream out 1 and stream out 2 here. What we do here is also we can decide what to actually send to these stream outs here. As a standard, USB in left and right is going into the out 1 here, and line in left and right is going on the stream out 2. This can be changed here, so we can mix these and do other things with them. So the last device we're going to have a look at today is the Bluetooth interface. That's also an endpoint. It's called DM NVX BTIO 1G, 1G for 1 gang. Let's have a look at that one at Crestron.com, and it looks like this. So it's a Bluetooth device, input and output, and behind this there is also analog input and output. So it works a bit like the other endpoint. Under NAX streams, we set the multicast address and we name it something. And we can see that it's in Dante Controller here. And the same thing as with the USB-C endpoint. We can mix different inputs and to be sent out on these stream outs. So the last thing we're going to have a look at is the X300 again. So it has rebooted now. And let's log into it again. So what we did before it rebooted, was to set it to Dante mode instead of AES67 mode. And if we look in Dante Controller, we can see that it's here. There's a black text, meaning it's a Dante X300. And this is the name of the device. So if I change this to just -D instead and tab out of this, it's saved and it disappeared and reappeared with a -D instead here. So it's as simple as that to enable Dante mode instead of AES67 mode and have it show up in Dante Controller. So that's all for this video.